All right, just going to wait on some people to join, and then we will be underway with this bad boy. So give me one quick second, just wait on some people to join, and then we get to go. Obviously, we got some big news as it pertains to the NFL and college football. Figured let's go live for this. So just wait on some people to hop in, and then we'll break everything down. So give me one second, let people know we're going live. But if you missed the news, you just got the news. Bill Belichick. It happened 20 minutes ago. I would have gone live before. I was stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on my way back from the gym. This is my Shams moment in terms of how he saw a movie and missed breaking news during that and then never went to see a movie again. This might be my Shams moment because we got some breaking news for you. Bill Belichick. It's official. According to Schefter, according to Rappaport, according to Pete Thamel, according to ESPN, it's official. 3 years, $30 million. Bill Belichick, the new head coach at North Carolina. The 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach is now the head coach of the UNC Tar Heels. Welcome in, everybody, to this breaking news update. Bill Belichick, we're going to stay live for probably about 45 minutes. I'm going to discuss everything that's taken place. I'm going to get some emojis set up, so don't you worry about the emojis. They are going to be replaced in just a little bit. Give me one quick second. But UNC, we're going to talk about everything. 3 years, $30 million. They accepted the 400-page document of demands that he had after a second meeting. Belichick is now going to be coaching at the collegiate ranks at the head coaching level for the very first time. So with that being said, again, any donation gets to your question right away. Otherwise, I just go in the order they seem. Every donation also counts toward the thing called You Make the Call. Help me decide which game we're calling Friday night for college basketball. Are we calling Boston Merrimack or Army George Washington? So let me get some emojis in there. And then we will get this good to go. So if you're a member, you can show your support for this announcement. Whichever way you want. So again, Bill Belichick, the head coach at UNC. They had 2 meetings. During the second meeting the other day, we saw that Belichick talked about on the Manningcast, said that a lot of colleges are run very similar to the pros and that it would be more than okay taking the job. They met a second time. The plan seems to be to have Stephen Belichick in the waiting, but Bill Belichick heading to UNC, the 6-time winning coach, off the market. He is officially off the market. He is now a Tar Heel. I'm here to answer all your questions. We just got the update in real time. I am flabbergasted by this. Not necessarily based on recent developments, but if you asked me a week ago, will Bill Belichick be the head coach at UNC? Definitely would not have seen that coming. Definitely would not have seen that coming. Oh, they came through with your refund? Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go. They got your money back. That's a lot of money, too. That's a lot of money. So, again, I don't get your question right away. We're going to stay on for about 45 minutes, and then I'm here to answer all your questions about the move. Again, this just started taking place over the course of a week. They met a week ago, and the meeting went well. We thought it was just a preliminary thing to gauge interest in potentially making a return to coaching. Maybe it was a tactic to get NFL teams to potentially bite on him. It was not a tactic. This was legit. And Bill Belichick will be going to the North Carolina Tar Heels as their head coach on a 3 or $30 million deal. The second part of the meeting, the second meeting, was the 400-page document that he gave to UNC saying, we're going to do things this way, and they had until today to accept. They were going to review it today. And one of those things is that we expect Stephen Belichick, his son, to be the head coach in waiting whenever UNC moves on from Belichick or Belichick retires. We saw that with High Point University. We saw that with the basketball team, with High Point. We saw Tubby Smith. He came back to High Point and he said, I need 2 things. I want Gigi Smith, my son, to be the head coach in waiting, and I want a new arena. And the new arena got built immediately, and Gigi Smith was the head coach of waiting. So it's not an unprecedented sort of deal. I've seen it with my alma mater before, and Bill Belichick, now officially the coach. And for the NFL, obviously, what this means, he's not coming back. No chance to tie Don Shula, break Don Shula's record. I thought for certain, I really thought for certain he'd be in Jacksonville. I think a lot of people did, knowing Shad Khan's history of hiring older folks who have had success before, but kind of fell off the map. in recent years. We saw that with Urban Meyer. We saw that with Trent Baalke. We saw that with Doug Peterson. That has been his MO, to hire winners in the past. And Belichick was rumored to the Jaguars for a long time, but that is not going to happen. He is going to UNC. A multi-time Super Bowl champion, all-time great head coach reverting back to the college ranks. Yeah, we don't usually see this. We usually don't see this. Usually we sometimes see college coaches going to the NFL. We don't really see this, the inverse, where an NFL coach will go back to college where he had never coached before and try and win down there. Now, obviously, we've seen guys go from the NFL back to college. We saw Butcher Davis go from Cleveland back to the collegiate ranks. We saw what happened with Herm Edwards coaching, and then after a decade going back to ASU. We've seen it before, but not like this. Not really since Bill Walsh. Not really since Bill Walsh, where he had a cushy broadcasting gig, was one of the greatest coaches of all time, then decided I'm going to coach at Stanford for a few years. Didn't really work out. Bill Walsh was really the last one to do it. Yes, Jim Harbaugh went from the NFL to college. That was a bit different. He wasn't under contract with the Niners. This is really the first time we've seen something like this since the Bill Walsh days 30 years ago. So I'm here to answer all your questions for the next 45 minutes or so as we go live, just breaking down this breaking news. We're finding everything out in real time. It's a 3-year deal worth $30 million. The idea here with the NIL money, apparently, it is looking like, in terms of NIL, right now, $4 million in terms of NIL money. With Belichick, $20 million. Belichick said, one of the things that I need $20 million in NIL money. It is now 5 times what UNC had before. Belichick is now lining up staff members, and he's looking at portal options right now. Again, it is official. Bill Belichick is going to UNC, going to be replacing the legendary Mac Brown, who basically just got fired. If you want to say that, they gave him a chance to resign, and he is no longer there, and they're replacing him with one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, the future Hall of Famer, Bill Belichick himself, 6-time winning Super Bowl coach as a head coach. He is only a few wins back of Don Shula. You look at his career stats, Bill Belichick, in terms of total wins across his entire time in the NFL as head coach, 302 wins. Defensive coordinator of the Giants when they won 2 of their Super Bowls. Was the head coach of the Browns for a little bit. Got them to the playoffs, their last playoff appearance before moving. And then was the coach of the Patriots for 24 years before a disappointing 2023 season. We don't know how he's going to work the portal. We don't know how he's going to manipulate with that. But if you're looking at UNC's schedule, the UNC football schedule, as it pertains to next year, they open up against TCU, which is odd because Deion Sanders was the most hyped up hire since Bill Belichick, and that opening game for Deion was against TCU. This game will be at home against TCU. Then they have Charlotte on the road, oddly enough, and then they have Richmond, followed by UCF. Then they've got conference games that have not been announced yet. The conference games are playing Cal, NC State, Clemson, Duke, Stanford, Virginia, Syracuse, Wake Forest. On paper, not the toughest slate. On paper, there are some good teams in there, but on paper, that is definitely not the toughest slate. You avoid SMU, you avoid Miami, you avoid Louisville. There is no Boston College in there. Unfortunately, Sports Talk, there is no Boston College, but it's not too bad of a non-conference schedule. Conference schedule does not look terrible. With Bill Belichick at the helm, anything is possible. Again, if you like what you see, like and subscribe. Helps us out a ton. We're going to stay on until about 4:30, or 6:30 Eastern time, I should say. 4:30 in Phoenix. If you're just joining us, the breaking news, Bill Belichick, officially, according to Schefter, Rappaport, and every reporter under the sun, the head coach at UNC, a 3-year deal worth $30 million. We're finding everything out in real time. This also means he will not be surpassing Don Shula's wins record as of yet. The 73-year-old head coach by that point. I don't think after last week, I'm not sure a lot of people saw it coming. Down by 4 to start the fourth and goal. Do you go for it, take the field goal, trust your defense? Depends what 4th and goal is. 4th and goal at the 9 is different than 4th and goal at the 2. At the 9, kick the field goal. At the 2, go for it. Go for it. Do you think 18, 20-year-olds would actually want to play for Bill? I think they do. I think they do for a few reasons. Number one, A lot of these kids are influenced by their parents. And what parent wouldn't want to have their son play for Bill Belichick? What parent would not want to have their son play for one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach in NFL history? Number two, what's the goal for a lot of these kids if they're playing D1? We all say, yeah, it's about getting an education. We say it's about continuing to play the sport that you love, yada, yada, yada. And that is true to some extent, but for a lot of these guys that go D1, what do they want? They want to play. They want to play in the pros. Do you think Bill Belichick knows how to get you to the pros? I think he does. I think he knows how to get you to the pros. You want to go to the pros? Bill Belichick's a pretty good way to go to the pros. He's got connections. He'll teach you the way, especially if you're a defender. Oh, you're set. You get recruited by Belichick? I mean, that is an honor. That is an honor. Number three, NIL money. Again, it was $4 million in NIL money that UNC had before this season. It's now up to $20 million. Bill Belichick has increased the NIL budget by 5 times. He has quintupled the NIL budget that UNC has. So you got the bag, you got the connections with the NFL, you got a guy that will get you to the pros and do a pretty good job of getting you to the pros, especially if you're a defender. You got a guy that knows how to win. We'll see if it translates to the college level, but you got a guy that knows how to win. And you have the parent influence. You have the influence of the parents that these people grew up watching Belichick. These kids grew up watching Belichick, watching him win Super Bowl after Super Bowl. What kid wouldn't want to play for Belichick? I guess you could say the hard approach working in college, but a lot of these kids need discipline. A lot of these kids that young, they need that discipline, they need that structure, and there's already a lot of hard coaches like that. There's a lot of hard coaches like that where they tolerate nothing. You see Deion Sanders? People love playing for Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is in a great job at Colorado. You see his approach? He's got a pretty hard approach, too. I saw a clip of Bill saying getting players ready for life post-football will be an important part of his program. Absolutely. We saw Herm Edwards try that with the pro model, and it worked for a bit until they got hammered with recruiting violation after recruiting violation. But it worked for a little bit. And this is now that program on steroids. We saw ASU with Herm Edwards. They were like, you know what? I'm going to get a bunch of pro coaches. We're going to treat it like a pro team. We're going to treat the college ranks like a pro team. He was a bit ahead of his time. He just went about it all wrong. But Herm Edwards was a bit ahead of his time when it came to how he was running ASU. Again, it all fell apart. It all crumbled, partly because Herm can't coach, partly because of recruiting violations, and partly because of a lot of other things. But it was working for a little bit. We saw Jaden Daniels come there. We saw the upset over Oregon. We saw a lot of stuff that looked like it was pretty promising for ASU for a little bit. This is that on steroids. Will UNC be in the preseason top 25? Yeah, I think so. Based on name alone, name recognition alone, absolutely. Especially because, remember, UNC, they're coming off of they're going to make a bowl appearance this year. Jim Harbaugh worked out for Michigan. That was a little bit different because Harbaugh coached in college before coming to the NFL. He was only out of the college game for 4 years. He was still pretty young, and we knew it could work. So that's a little bit different than Bill Belichick, where it's a bit more of a gamble because he's on the older side. He's got an entire playbook of what he wants and how he wants things run, and he's never coached in college before. Harbaugh was a safe bet. Harbaugh was a pretty safe bet. You can say unlimited, yeah. Do you think the transfer portal is going to be stuffed in Chapel Hill? Absolutely. I'm not sure Arch Manning transfers. I'm not sure he transfers unless Quinn comes back. If Quinn comes back, I'm not sure what Arch does. Right, you cannot hire the GOAT coach and not have championship aspirations. Yeah, you're not paying a coach $30 million over 3 years and increasing the NIL budget to $20 million, quintupling that to not have championship aspirations. The big question for me is how long can you do it for? Yeah, that's the other thing. Because again, head coach in waiting. Now, keep in mind, Bill Belichick's a guy that has been around coaching his whole life. Dad was a coach. He has basically been a coach his entire life. The man was coaching as an assistant back in the 1970s. The man was an assistant coach for the Baltimore Colts back in 1975. So the man loves coaching. He's going to coach as long as he can physically coach. As long as he's able to coach, he's going to coach. He'll be like Connie Mack, where he'll be like just in there until he dies. But you do wonder how long it's going to be. And then you're stuck with Stephen Belichick, who we don't know a whole lot about in terms of his head coaching abilities, because he will be the head coach in waiting. And we've seen this scenario play out with High Point. And it kind of backfired on them in some ways because they got Tubby Smith. Tubby Smith then had health issues about 3 years into his tenure, Gigi Smith was the head coach after that for about a year and a half. He was so out of his element. Now they fired him, they moved on, and it worked out in the end because now Alan Huss has done great things with the program. But that is the risk you take when you hire a coach and his son is the head coach in waiting and he hasn't really done a whole lot. Do I think no NFL anymore? I don't think so. I mean, this is pretty set in stone. I'm not sure at this point because if Belichick stays 3 years, it's a 3-year contract. Let's say he stays 3 years. Who would want to hire Bill Belichick after this? Who would possibly, at that point, Bill Belichick, you're looking at a guy that by the time he comes in the NFL again, he'd be 76 years old. Who would want to hire a 76-year-old head coach at that point if he leaves UNC after 3 years at the end of his contract? Will UNC TCU be the primetime game over LSU, Clemson, Bama, FSU? Remember with that there are neutral site games. There are neutral site games. So you do have games on Sunday, you do have games on Monday. I think that will be televised. That will be a nationally televised game. Now the question is what day it's going to be. But that will be a nationally televised game. His debut will be national attention. Now I don't know if that's going to be a Monday night game. It could be Monday night. We saw ACC game, Boston College, Florida State play Monday night. We've seen Louisville play Monday night before week 1. Usually an ACC team plays on Monday night. So we could see UNC playing on Monday night. But it will be a primetime game. I would be stunned if it's not a primetime game. Because people want to see this. He wants to create a new business model at UNC. Yeah, I mean, we've seen elements of this before with some other programs. ASU was really the closest to pulling it off with Herm Edwards, and that just completely collapsed. But I get what Belichick's trying to do, and this on steroids. This like Lombardi went to coach SMU instead of Washington, or Tom Landry coaching the Jayhawks ever getting fired from Dallas, or Andy Reid returning to BYU. That would be bizarre. I will say, you do have Forrest Gregg, Super Bowl making coach with the Bengals and the Packers. He coached 4 seasons there. He went back to SMU after the death penalty. He went to SMU for that. So, yeah, I thought Bill was going to go to any school. It would have been Navy if it was available. I don't think it would have been Navy. I don't think it would have been Navy because it would have been very limited in terms of what he could do. He wants control. He wants control of what he can do. He wants complete control. You don't get complete control of the Navy because you have to recruit certain people. You're not going to get the top recruits because you have to serve 4 years. And part of Belichick's thing is that I'm going to get you ready for the pros. The Navy, you don't really get ready for the pros because you have to serve. UNC's preseason ranking? Depends on what they do in the portal, but I'm going to guess 15. I'm going to guess 15 will be UNC's ranking. They're going to get treated very highly, and I get it. You got a head coach that has won before, and you got one of the greatest coaches of all time. But I put a poll up there. Simply put, do you like the move? Do you like the move? I would be surprised if they were unranked. Remember, a lot of preseason top 25, it's based off vibes. Even if they're not good, it's based off vibes. And the vibes are strong with UNC. Does it reset the clock in terms of Hall of Fame candidacy? No, it does not. College does not count. College does not count toward NFL Hall of Fame candidacy. Yeah, I did see about there was also some other news in the NFL too. The replay assist for face mask, which is long overdue. I don't know why that's not a thing already, but hopefully next season it's going to be a thing. My guess is that there's going to be a playoff game that's decided by a face mask penalty because it's been a theme every primetime game. But my guess is that will be a thing on 25, which will be good. The polls will be more open than the Mortal Kombat world to other realms. Feels that way. Odds of Pats drafting any UNC players in 26. I mean, Mayo has those ties to Belichick. It's a good connection. You got the pipeline. As long as Mayo's there, you got that pipeline easily. I'd say draft players. Oh, no, you draft for the player, not the school necessarily. You draft the player, not the school. I know for me, as like a Jaguar fan, there are players from Florida that I really do not want to draft. There are players from ASU that I really don't want to draft. There are players from Florida State and Georgia that I am dying to have on my team. Pedro asked me the least appealing thing for college kids. Yeah, but the bag is not, and the parents have to love it. Why college over the NFL? He's got more control. He's got way more control in college than the NFL. The NFL, he wants control as a GM. He wasn't going to get that. His drafting resume was pretty bad. His drafting resume was pretty bad as of late. He made some really bad reaches, really bad picks, couldn't draft receivers to save his life. Big reason why the Patriots dynasty fell apart at the end was because of that. He will not get that control in the NFL. We saw him try and get them with the Atlanta Falcons last year. He was interviewing for the head coaching job, and he was like, okay, well, I want the GM job too. And the Falcons were like, yeah, no, we're sticking with Terry Fontenot. We're sticking with that. So I think he saw an opportunity here. He saw an opportunity here. He was like, look, I have an opportunity to do things my way. I'm going to give you 400 pages of things I want done. And if we get those done, we got a deal. I have complete control. 400 pages, I get to coach football, do what I love. I get complete control of this thing. And on top of that, my son will be the head coach in waiting. And I get to hire all my coaches that he probably would have bulked at, like Matt Patricia, Joe Judge. I got to hire all those guys, bring them along with me, not have to teach an old dog new tricks. They know the Belichick way. They know the system. I don't have to teach an old dog new tricks. It makes tons of sense. People with the fire appreciate it. It's very unlikely that Belichick will be like Roy Williams in football. I agree with that, just age-wise. Aside from that, what has been your favorite coach to step up, down in levels? That's a tough one. That's an interesting one. I appreciate you. Which game do you want for the Make the Call? Do you want me to do the Boston game, or do you want me to do the Army game? Which game do you want me to do Friday for the, which game do you want me to do Friday? Yeah, it's going to be a complete disaster, or it's going to be phenomenal. There's no way this is just painfully average. Unless he has health issues. Unless, like, Tubby Smith was painfully average. But favorite step up, down in levels. Ooh. I mean, Urban was my least favorite. I can tell you that much. Urban was my least favorite. In terms of step down, you don't really see too many step downs. Step up, I'd probably say my favorite one, just because of all the quotes we got and all the legendary moments we got from him, probably John McKay, going from USC to the Buccaneers, coaching an expansion team. Also, I would say, as a Jaguar fan, Tom Coughlin going from Boston College to the Jaguars. Kind of biased on that one, but I think the Tom Coughlin step-up worked out pretty well. I think it worked out pretty well. Jaguars had a few step-ups. Boston College, Doug Marrone, Syracuse. Had a few of them. It's ironic that some lucky kids who grew up watching the Pats Dynasty could end up working for Belichick. They could. They absolutely could. Yeah, a lot of these kids were not born. These kids that he's recruiting were not born when the Pats were done with their first dynasty. Think about that. A lot of these kids, Belichick won 6 Super Bowls as head coach. It's really 2 eras, 01 to 04, and then what happened in the mid-2010s. None of these kids were born. None of these kids were born, which is insane. It shows how long he's been coaching. But you know what? A lot of the parents were in college. A lot of the parents, when they had their kid, they've grown up their whole adult life knowing Belichick as the model standard for coaching. And they will have a big say. They'll have a big say. Will Belichick cause North Carolina to go to the SEC? I don't think so. I don't think UNC and Duke would be splitting up. I don't think that would happen. Fact or fiction, if North Carolina does not at least appear in the ACC Championship, it will be considered a disappointing season. You have to remember, it's an unbalanced schedule. Like, you could potentially have one loss and not make it because of the way it works out. I'm going to say fiction on that. But I think if they don't make the playoff, disappointing to some extent. They make the playoff, but I'm not sure about ACC Championship. Because then again, remember, would you call Miami a disappointing season this year? I mean, granted, they didn't make the playoff, but granted, how it ended was pretty rough, but Miami didn't make the ACC Championship. They played pretty well this year. Eric Bieniemy, he's still there. He is at UCLA, or he was at UCLA. He left his post. So that was a complete disaster. He left his post at UCLA. Mac Jones could be coach. He can't play quarterback, so you know what? Maybe he's got a future there. Big risk because the kids never experience the structure. That is true, but then again, a lot of kids, the difference from high school to college in terms of the regimen, especially for a lot of these kids in states where high school football is not the dominant force, like California and Texas and Florida, it's going to be a culture shock no matter who it is. Thank you for going live. We provide more objective coverage on ESPN. Thank you so much, Anthony. Appreciate it. And we're going to go live for about 15 more minutes. We're going to just talk this over again. Belichick, if you're just joining us, the breaking news is that Bill Belichick, the head coach at UNC, 3 years, $30 million. NIL budget increases from $4 to $20 million. How much do you want to bet Belichick tries to hire Nick Saban to his staff? He's not going to do it. He has too much respect for Saban to make him an assistant on his staff. Saban's done. He got out of the game. He didn't like the way the game was going in terms of the transfer portal. And he was upset about the way players were acting. And he saw the writing on the wall with college. And he was like, you know what? This is not the game that I grew up coaching. This is not the same college that I did. I've got a cushy job right now with ESPN. I'm pretty set. Belichick always had that itch. Saban, he's done. Saban doesn't want to go back. Saban does not want to come back. Maybe it's like an advisor. I could see potentially an advisor role. But in terms of a coach, no. No way. No way. Are the 3 best teams they're ranking, in fact, the 3 best teams in the college football this year? So what are the rankings? I know the seeding. I just have to double check the rankings. So the rankings, obviously, Oregon at 1, Georgia 2, Texas 3 I'm not crazy about. I'm not crazy about Texas at 3. I think Penn State's better than Texas. Texas, I'm not crazy about. Quinn Ewers has not looked good since the surgery, or the injury. I'm not crazy about Texas. So I would say no on that. I would say no on the rankings. But I would definitely give you Oregon at 1. Georgia, it's a bit iffy because you don't know about Carson Beck's status. Oregon 1, I don't know about the rest. I don't know about the rest. If you will be behind the scenes in the NFL like season as a line coach or whatever, yeah, he maybe could come back to Kansas City, get back under Reed, where he's pretty comfortable, but he blew his chance. He had a chance at Washington, didn't work. Chance at UCLA, didn't work. Yeah, maybe the guy's just not fit to be a top coach. Now, the top former head coach who will get some interest is Vrabel, and Vrabel makes a ton of sense. Saban among college coaches, for my money, he's number 1 all time. For my money, he's number 1 all time. What he did in this era is insane. But Mike Vrabel, I think absolutely, yeah, I think we had to make a reference for the Chiefs. Mike Vrabel, he's one of my top 3 guys. As a Jaguar fan, I did not want Belichick. I feared for my life that Belichick was going to come to the Jaguars because that's the way Shad Khan has always done things. It's hire the old guard. Hire someone who the game has passed him by, who won before, but it flamed out in spectacular fashion, or has been out of the game for a bit, and he's going to do things his way, stuck in the mud, get some new blood now. This forces the Jags to get some new blood, or at the very least, if they go Mike Vrabel, it's not new blood, but it's pretty close because the man is super young, and we know he's good. It fell apart in Tennessee at the end because the front office let him down with some awful trading and awful drafting. So it eliminates my biggest fear that Belichick was going to be the Jaguars because he was the odds-on favorite. He was the odds-on favorite. The best Seahawks coach pre-Legion of Boom, you got to go Chuck Knox. Does this mean the Jets didn't want him? Well, problem with the Jets was that Joe Douglas was still the GM. So you weren't going to talk with him unless Douglas was gone. Until Douglas was gone. At that point, he was already in talks with UNC. The problem is that with the Jets, I don't think that was ever going to happen after how bad things soured with the Jets when he got the job for one day and then left. I think there's still some bad blood there with the Jets. On top of that, with the Jets, remember, he wants complete control. He wants complete and utter control. He was not going to get that in the NFL in all likelihood. His best chance to get that was in Atlanta last year. He didn't get it. I guess he could have gotten it in Jacksonville this year because I think Shad Khan would have bent over backwards to get Belichick. He would have fired Balky and bent over backwards to let Belichick just do whatever the heck he wanted, like he did with Urban Meyer. Oh, pre-Legion of Boom. Oh, I thought you meant pre-2000s. Oh, Legion of Boom, yeah, it's Holmgren. It's Holmgren. Pre-Legion of Boom, it's Holmgren. I thought you meant pre-2000. Yeah, no, pre-Legion of Boom, it's Holmgren. Yeah, Vrabel won't turn 50 till August. He still feels younger than that. He still feels younger than that, which is crazy to me. That's crazy to me that he's going to be 50, but man, I feel old. I remember watching him play. He's going to be 50? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll still take him. That's still pretty young for a coach. I would still take Vrabel in a heartbeat. I would still do that. Yeah, fear because Josh McDaniels, Joe Judge, Matt Patricia. Yeah, he's going to get his guys. He doesn't, look, the man is in his mid-70s. He doesn't want to teach an old dog new tricks. He wants to keep his staff the way that he keeps his staff. He wants to have his staff, have his guys that he knows he can trust. He can trust those guys. Whether it's deserved or not remains to be seen. I think you guys know my thoughts. Matt Patricia, not exactly the best in terms of that, but he doesn't want to teach an old dog new tricks. He doesn't want to do that. Belichick not want NFL jobs, or the NFL not want him? I think the NFL not want him. I think on top of that, the NFL not wanting him also comes down to he's looking out for his son. And what a lot of people at that age do, when they know they have borrowed time left, and Belichick's on borrowed time to some extent. He's got 20 years left in all likelihood. Hopefully more. I mean, we see more leave to, he's going to be 100. But a lot of people at that age, they look out for their son. They look out for their kids. And he saw an opportunity at UNC to not only do things his way and bring on his staff, but he saw a chance to give his son a head coaching opportunity that he thinks he deserves. And if you can do that, why wouldn't you take it? It's almost like you have a chance to inherit a giant fortune and then pass it on to your kids, make sure they're set for life. Yeah. No, Patricia is horrible. Patricia is horrible. Thoughts on Roger not want to cut ties with Rock Nation? The thing with that, it's one allegation. They're looking into it. Will Goodell said they're looking into it. Now, obviously, stuff can change if there's more allegations or more details to come out or he gets arrested. Different story. But right now, they're not going to do anything with one allegation. And on top of that, remember that the show's already in pretty big development right now, and Jay-Z's kind of a behind-the-scenes figure with the NFL. He's not really on the front line, so it's a bit different. How's it going, Nick Gamer? Welcome into the stream. With this move, UNC get a lot more coverage in the future, which could mean a lot of pressure on them to succeed. It could, but it also means a lot more money. We saw what happened with Colorado. Look at how much their socials have increased. Look at how much ticket sales have increased. Colorado's in a much better spot with Dion than they were before. I thought the win record meant a lot to Bill. Yeah, but I think he realized he wasn't going to get it. I think he realized he was not going to be able to do things his way. And he has a chance to do things his way. And when you're in your 70s, you don't want to learn new things. Look, I'm not in my 70s, but heck, I'm 27. I'm not even crazy about learning new things at times. I can imagine what a 70-year-old, mid-70s is like. You don't want to learn new things in your 70s. You don't have to bring on new people, train them. You don't want to be working under someone. You don't want to be doing that. When you win 6 Super Bowls, you have to answer to a GM now? No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Yeah, LT, Peppers, Hamburger. Yeah, a lot of great players. LT the best, obviously. I did a video on LT getting drafted into college. I'll link the video here. Meanwhile, if you haven't seen today's video, if you're just joining us, haven't seen today's video, I did a review of the Simpsons broadcast that happened. I'll leave a link here. Hang on. Yeah, thoughts on Saudi Arabia getting the 2034 World Cup? Really briefly on that, I'm not surprised whatsoever. Remember, there's a rule in FIFA that says that 8 years, you can't host for 8 years in terms of a confederation. Well, North America's out of the running because of the 2026 World Cup. 2030, that farce with Africa, Europe, and South America. So all those continents are out. So you're left with Oceania, which is New Zealand. They're not going to host. They don't have the infrastructure. And you're left with, again, Australia counts as part of Asia, so they wouldn't do that. And you're left with Asia. And Saudi Arabia made a ton of sense in that regard. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. 2034 was a given. What also means probably 2038, unless they change the rules, is going to come back to the USA. So 2038 World Cup, expect that to be in the USA as well. But yeah, a lot more coverage on UNC for sure. If Stefanski is fired, what are the odds Vrabel hires him as the OC? I think Stefanski will get a job right away. Replaces Belichick on inside the NFL? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good one. Maybe McCarthy. I could see McCarthy doing a TV gig at some point. I could see McCarthy doing a TV gig if he gets fired this year. I could see that. Yeah, most countries seeing Dallas, Carolina. I did see the TV maps. I don't get the TV maps whatsoever. I get to some extent why Washington, New Orleans is not the biggest game, just because, I get why it's not part of the most shown game because of the injury to Derek Carr. It's probably going to be a bad game. You don't want to see Jake Haener out there. Having said that, why is 75% of the country getting Jonathan Vilma and Kenny Albert? You have the number 2 crew on Fox, and they're not getting any coverage? That's insane. Okay, so Australia is its own continent. But in terms of so Australia's its own continent, but in terms of FIFA, there are confederations. North America, CONCACAF, South America, CONMEBOL, Europe, that's UEFA, Africa is CAF, Asia is AFC, and Oceania is OFC. So there's 6 confederations, and Australia is part of Asia. It's like how Israel is part of Europe, Kazakhstan is part of Europe. There are some weird things that are not geographically sound, but it's part of the 6 confederations. So the Asian Confederation can't get one. They used to be Oceania. Problem was that they were too dominant. They were too dominant in Oceania, so they moved over to Asia. So, yeah. I don't get the TV maps, so I do not get the TV maps. If you're just joining us, Ron Rivera's been doing fine. He's a nice guy. He's just a bad coach, but he's a nice guy, it seems like. If you're just joining us again, as a reminder, Bill Belichick, the new head coach of the UNC Tar Heels. 3 years, $30 million. Australia drifted over. Connell Drift, baby. Connell Drift. Pangea for the win, baby. 3 years, $30 million. $4 to $20 million in terms of the NIL money. It quintupled. Now people groaning at Saudi Arabia getting picked for the World Cup because of its questionable human rights record. It wouldn't be a World Cup in the Gianni era without questionable human rights records hosting it. Would not be. Dallas sucks when we get Kenny Albert. Yeah, that's always a bad sign. It's a bad sign. Yeah, basically thinks college conference soccer. Yes. I'm surprised when Matt Taylor played 8 years in the NFL. I'm very surprised just because he was never good in the NFL. That championship game, I don't know what happened in that championship game, but that should have taken him out of day 2. I don't know why he was chosen that high in day 2. He was not that good in the NFL. I'm surprised he played 8 seasons. I think he was number 2 for CBS. For Fox, it's Olsen and Davis, but for whatever reason, that game is getting no coverage. And Albert Vilma, who's like the number 4 crew, if I'm not mistaken, they are getting the bulk of it. Greg Olsen replaced Herbster on Amazon on 25. I'm going to say fiction on that because they're bringing Michaels back. I don't know if you saw the news, but they are going to extend Al Michaels by a year. They're going to bring him back on a year-to-year basis, which, I mean, look, personally for me, I think Al Michaels should have hung it up. I don't think he's got it anymore, but he's better than he was last year. He's got some energy left in the tank, which is okay. Will the UNC football outdo their basketball program? I'm going to say, I'm not crazy about their coach ever since Williams left. I'm not crazy about him. I'm going to say yes. I'm actually going to say yes. I'm not betting against Belichick. Not betting against Belichick at the college ranks. Will UNC Charlotte Week 2 be on linear TV, even though it's Charlotte? Linear TV? I mean, you look probably like ESPN 12 o'clock, one of those games. So you're talking like over the air, like ABC. What are the Week 2 games that week? Hang on. Week 2 2025 schedule. I don't think that would be enough to do it. No, it is on the road. You also have to remember, too, it's on the road. I'm not sure Charlotte Stadium could hold that many camera crew and media personnel as it is. I'm not sure. That'd be a lot of coverage. You're probably looking at Michigan, Oklahoma is going to be your big noon kickoff game in all likelihood. Or no, that could be the SEC. I don't know what that's going to be. Iowa State. I'm not sure it's going to be on over the air. It'll be on like ESPN, I think. I think it'll be on ABC or on ESPN. It'll be like the 12 o'clock ESPN game. The first game will be. What percent of the vote will Ichiro and CC get? Will anyone else get in? Billy Wagner is getting in his final year of eligibility. He'll get in. CC, I'm going to guess 78%. Ichiro, it should be unanimous. My guess is there's going to be some idiot that doesn't put him on or tries to put 10 other guys on, knowing that Ichiro is a lock. So I'm going to guess Ichiro's 98%. CC 78. Billy Wagner should be 82 is my guess. Or I'm going to say 79 on Billy. I'm going to say 79 on Billy, 78 on CC. 98 on Ichiro. And is there anyone else on the ballot? Anyone else on the ballot? I mean, for me personally, I would vote Felix. I'd vote King Felix for the Hall. He's not going to get in. I hope he gets the 5% that he needs. But I don't think anyone else gets in this ballot. So be Wagner, he'll get 79. CC gets 77. Ichiro gets 98. That's my guess. Yeah, no, he's never getting the shoulder record now. No, he's done in terms of NFL. There's no chance he comes back to the NFL. Because even if he lasts 3 years at UNC and then decides I want to go for the record, he's going to be 76 at that point. Who's going to do that? Yeah, I'm not surprised at all by the Saudi news. I'm not surprised at all. When someone told that on stream, I had no reaction because that was a given. That was a given. You know, Lone Depot, that is true. No, that is true. Summer's not making that up. Lone Depot is hosting a Panthers game next year. Lone Depot is hosting a Panthers game, which is kind of odd because, you know, it kind of goes against science. Kind of goes against the laws of science. I don't know how the ice is going to melt. No clue. No clue how the ice is not going to melt. They did it in LA, I guess. They did it in LA, but it's not Miami. It's not the Party MC where the heat is on. It's not that. Like, if you're just joining us, we'll stay on for a few more minutes. I'll stay on for like 10 more minutes. I've not gotten any sleep today. I've not got any sleep. I was going to get some sleep. We're not doing a stream tonight. This is the stream. We're not doing a basketball game tonight. We're not doing UConn Notre Dame. We're going to call it in about 10 minutes. But the breaking news again, Bill Belichick, now the head coach of UNC, $20 million in NIL money, up from $4 million. Belichick, 400 pages in terms of what he wanted to have happen with UNC, and they approved it today. He will be announced as the coach. It is official at this point. Belichick going to coach at the college ranks for the first time as a head coach, and 3 years, $30 million. Following was a reaction of Bills fan may not necessarily reflect those of others in the chat. There you go. What do you think about the proposed bill that makes flag planting in Ohio State a felony? Never going to get passed. It's a waste of taxpayer time and money. It's stupid. It will never get approved. I love that the bill says it has to be the center of the stadium. So you can plant at the 40. It's not a penalty or it's not a felony. But you have to, if you plan at the center, it is. So what constitutes the center? What is the center? We have to define the center. It's insane. How much do you think for me to stream tonight? $100? I mean, $100 is $100. I do it for $100. I do it for $100, but otherwise I gotta get some sleep. I literally got, so the Simpsons video came out at 10, what did it come out at? Simpsons video came out at, when did that come out? 10:10 Eastern time. I went to bed right after that was done. I woke up at 11:50 Eastern time for the Presbyterian game that we called against Columbia College, which, love the support on that one, guys. Thank you so much for the love and support on that stream. So I got 90 minutes of sleep. I thought I was going to get some sleep after my workout. I was at the gym, working out, stretching the back, and doing a lot of stuff. And then I ate lunch. I was driving back, and I got the update on my phone, and I'm like, okay, this is the worst time to be in bumper-to-bumper traffic because I would be live right now. And as soon as I got back, I ran up the stairs, got the stream set up, and here we are, and then I'm going to take a nap. So that is the plan. But $100 is $100. $100 is $100. I can bypass sleep for $100 for a little bit. Yeah, Sheffield, Kent, Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, Sosa. Yeah, a lot of them tied with steroids, so it makes sense. Made the LA outdoor game worse. The Kings struggled early in the playoffs and won the cup that same season. Nightmare come true. There you go. There you go. Kent's guy this year left. I don't think anyone besides Billy Wagner makes it, who was on the ballot last year. Will UNC football be remembered in 20 years as a football school instead of a basketball school? Impossible. Nothing that UNC does will make them a football school. Now, will the program be better than the basketball program? Yeah, I think so. I'm not crazy about UNC's coach right now, but I'm not crazy about the program ever since Roy Williams left. But there is, as long as Michael Jordan is alive and well, you get the Jordan brand. There is no scenario, as long as Tobacco Road remains the greatest rivalry in college athletics. And for my mind, you can say Michigan, Ohio State. I'm going Duke, UNC basketball. But as long as that remains the greatest rivalry in college athletics, there is no scenario where UNC is remembered in 20 years as a football school instead of a basketball school. There is no scenario whatsoever. Miami, Cleveland will be flexed out for another game. It should be. It should be. There are some good options here. There are some decent options, at the very least options that are better than Miami, Cleveland, because the Browns have nothing to play for. Not sure the Dolphins will either. Not sure they will either. So again, if you're just joining us for breaking news, we'll hop on for about 5 minutes. Any questions, fire away in the chat. Again, every donation also counts toward you make the call. Help me decide which game we're calling. I don't know if I saw Peter's thing, if he said what he wanted his $5 on. I'll put a poll up. Meanwhile, 61% of you think that this move is a good move. 61% of you like the move of Bill Belichick going to the UNC Tar Heels as the new coach. Doing 3 BCS Bowls in a row? Still, it's impossible. It's impossible for them to be known as a football school. The basketball brand is so strong, it will never happen. It will never happen. Now, they could be known as both. But in terms of overtaking basketball, that is never going to happen. There is too much legacy, too much rooted down there. We also have other news from Schefter. Had talks between Belichick and UNC broken down. Browns passing game specialist and tight ends coach Tommy Rees was considered the favorite to land the Tar Heels head coaching job per league sources. Rees interviewed for the job twice before, has statement as an advocate. Primetime games for UNC next season, I'm going to say at least 4. One thing confusing about the maps this week is that despite the Colts competing against the Texans for the South, Indy's not getting Dolphins Texans. What game are they getting? That is odd. What game are they getting? Let's see. I mean, if they're getting Chicago, it makes sense. Let's see. They are getting Casey Cleveland? That is odd. Casey Cleveland. I'm surprised about that one. NBA make us say BLJJ9. Yeah, NBA Cup. We're definitely not doing that. Can I know? Can I react to UFC fights? UFC fights react to them like showed on stream? No, they are brutal with copyright and actually advertising or streaming the fight. The problem with that is that the streams don't work half the time. Do you think Belichick cared about breaking the all-time wins record? Yes, I do. I do think he cared about the all-time wins record. Do you want to try on doing a live stream both the games? No, we're only going to do one. thinking UNC should hire someone older. I mean, they got Mac Brown. Now they got Bill Belichick. I mean, maybe Marv Levy wants to coach again. Maybe. I'm going to do a doubleheader. I'm going to do both games at the same time for Monday Night Football. We're doing that. There's 2 games on: Falcons, Raiders, and Bears, Vikings. We're both those at the same time. On top of that, next Saturday, we got 2 playoff games or 3 playoff games and 2 NFL games on the same day. And we're going to be streaming all those games at the same time. So that's going to be chaos. But I think Belichick cared about breaking the record, and then he realized he was not going to be able to do things his way. He was not going to do things his way. It would be impossible to get complete control, impossible to bring on the coaches he wanted, impossible not to answer to someone. It would have been... I think he realized. Now, what would have been interesting? History looks completely different, I think. If the Jaguars fired Peterson after the Lions game at the bye week, and then you could start the head coaching search, I think history looks a little bit different. I think at that point, Khan phones up Belichick and is like, let's talk about something. That obviously didn't happen. I'm kind of glad it didn't now. I think Shah Khan's patience actually worked out in the Jags' favor because, again, I don't think Belichick has it in the tank anymore in the NFL, just in terms of he wants control his way, and I'm not crazy about the staff that he's building around. But in college, completely different ballgame. Okay, I'm going to close the poll here. 56% of you think you want Army George Washington. Put the $5 donated earlier by Peter on GW. I'm going to put one more poll up, and then we'll sign off. Put one more poll up. What are you expectations for UNC next season? Let me put the poll up. Hang on. Playoffs. Hang on. Expectations for UNC next season. I'll put one more poll up, and then we'll sign off. Yeah, I don't want to see him on the draw tomorrow. Should be interesting to see. Hopefully, I want to see what Greece gets. They've been playing pretty good as of late. England always gets a pretty easy draw, so we'll see what happens there. Is Shula's career win record unbreakable? Oh, well, Andy Reid's closing in. Andy Reid is closing in. Andy Reid right now is at 270. He is still 66 years old. He's got a few more fumble rooskies left in him. Don Shula, if you're wondering what his record is, Don Shula, the exact number is 328. So Reid is at 270. Shula's at 328. So Reid is 58 wins behind. Reid is 58 wins. He's got Mahomes. He's got job security for life there in Kansas City. If the Chiefs average just 12 wins, let's just say they win 3 more games. Let's say they win 3 more games this season. So he would be 55 wins away. If he wins 11 games a year for the next 5 years, he's got the record. Yeah, I think it's not unbreakable. I think Andy Reid is closing in on that. Again, 11 wins for the next 5 years for Reid. Gets it. Yeah, including playoffs, that's a bit different. Including playoffs, it's actually a little bit easier because Reid has more wins than Shula in that regard. Reid has more playoff wins. He's got 26 playoff wins versus 19 for Shula. How much UNC is paying Belichick? They're paying him $10 million a year. 3 years, $30 million. So $10 million a year. And they're doing, Packers Seahawks, we're going to be calling that game. Yeah, if we're including playoffs in that, it's a little bit different because at that point, Reid's actually closer. At that point, Andy Reid is at 296. So it's actually a little bit closer if we're counting playoffs. Will UFC stream get taken out just for reflection? Probably. Yeah, Packers Seahawks, we're going to be calling that game. We are going to be calling that game. But yeah, the telling thing is that A, they agreed to everything in the 400-page book. B, the NIL money, the NIL fund, increasing, according to sources, from $4 million to $20 million. Also, wait, do we have more breaking news? Hang on a second. I'm not surprised. Wait, do we have more breaking news? Oh, and more breaking news that broke on stream. All right, this isn't really just surprising. I can't say I'm surprised with this. We have a reunion in the works. West Virginia is going to be hiring, according to Brett McMurphy, Rich Rodriguez going back to West Virginia, Mountain Mama. So we have some more breaking news for the college game. No real surprise there. Who's great at Jacksonville State this past season. And he's been great there for a bit. Going back to where he had a lot of success before he got the Michigan job. Yeah, it was a bit of bad blood when he left, but time heals all wounds. Which route going back to West Virginia? Will Bill do enough recruiting? I think he will. I don't think he needs to do a lot. I think the recruit's going to come to him. He's got the money. He's got $20 million in NIL fund compared to 4. He's got basically a pro-level program right now. I don't think anything really changes in terms of the recruits come to him. You want to play for Belichick. If you want to play in the NFL, you want to play for Belichick. You have that pipeline, especially if you're a defensive player. How's it going, Joe from New Mexico, Lobos country? How's it going? Streaming a game tonight? No, I'm not. No, I'm not streaming a game tonight. We're going to hop off in about 5 minutes. Will you ever see a coach nowadays coach for as long as George Hallis did? Where they coach for 50 years at one spot? No, never. Never. That's almost impossible nowadays. Because 50 years at one spot, again, you're not getting a head coaching job until you're like in your mid-30s in the NFL. So you have to make it to your mid-80s. No chance. College basketball games today? There are some. We're just not doing any. Because I need to get some rest. Because I'm not going to need sleep. I need to get some rest. I need to get some rest after this. So, we're going to do that. Should have went to the Jags? I disagree. I don't think it would have worked out at all. I think it would have been more of the same with Jacksonville. It would have been more of the same. We've hired old guys before, or guys that had success before, that want to do things their way, and they're stuck in the mud. Didn't work out with Peterson. Didn't work out with Urban. Bulky. Marone. Didn't work out with anyone that was head coach before. I want younger... I want fresh blood. I want fresh blood. Yeah, 4 years search for get 50. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Sunday Ticket does not switch my game. They do not. They do not. Future trivia. Hopefully next week I want to test out a format. I got to test out the format because I do love doing trivia. I have to test out the format because, again, Quiz Kit is just... It shut down. I want to find a new format. I do want to find a new format. The record for most games below 500. I would guess Marion Campbell's got to be up there. Right? He coached for a while. Yeah, 46 games under 500. He's got to be. 34, 80, and 1, 46 games under. He's got to have the record, right? Name one old coach that did well. Like in their second stint at the football level. Tom Coughlin was no spring chicken when he took the Giants job. How old was Tom Coughlin when he took the Giants job? He was no spring chicken. Coughlin was in his 60s when he took the Giants job. Thoughts on the hiring? I mean, I like it for UNC. I think the recruit's going to come to him easily. He's going to run like a pro football program. Why don't I buy QuizKit? I didn't know it was shutting down. The interface is completely shut down. I didn't know it was going out of business. Just announced with nothing. Otherwise, I would have. I would have tried. It's got to be Campbell, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could blow up in their face, but look, the thing with UNC in terms of the hire, yeah, Bill Snyder, that's another one. Bill Snyder also worked out the second time around. But the thing with this hiring in terms of UNC, he's going to run it like a pro program. We've seen that model have some success now, just going to be that on steroids, and the recruits are going to come to him pretty easily because of the money, because of the experience he's got in the NFL. It's an easy pathway to get to the NFL. If I don't want to shut it down, bring it back. I want to. Yeah, in South Carolina, Gus Bradley, my starter. Yeah, he was 14 and 48. Or 14 and 46. It was bad. Yeah, 2030 World Cup in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. See, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with the rest of the World Cup. You do know that there's other games taking place at that World Cup in Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Chile for some reason, because it's a sham. You know, Gus Bradley he was terrible. I think people forget how bad Bradley was because Urban Meyer was even worse, but Bradley was just awful. Yeah, it could be canceled. Trivia gets back up. Yeah, I want to do it. Believe me, it's killing me that I can't do trivia. It's killing me. But we're gonna try and find something. We're gonna find something that works, and hopefully we can get it on YouTube too. Hopefully we can get it so you can play on YouTube, so you don't have to go over to Twitch to play. I mean, I do have no problem playing on Twitch, but I like it all on YouTube and on one platform. So that hopefully will be the goal at some point. Yeah, which Roberto did go with Virginia. He left some bad blood there. How he left. Yeah, but they were really good. Look, Shiano left some bad blood. He left in the middle of a recruiting meeting, and that reunion worked out pretty well with Rutgers. They're doing all right. Let's be honest, Belichick couldn't relate with modern players. Don't know if he can do it in college. Well, the thing with Belichick, again, he's going to have guys on his staff that can relate to those people. He's going to have guys. At the end of the day, for a lot of these college players at D1, there's not going to be trivia New Year's Day. No, there will not be trivia New Year's Day. New Year's Day, I can guarantee you there's not going to be trivia because we'll be live streaming all 3 playoff games. for college. And there's actually trivia on Christmas, obviously. But you have to remember, it's not necessarily about relating with modern players. It's about how much money are you getting and can you get me to the NFL. You're going to get a lot of money at UNC, $20 million in the NIL fund, and you're going to make it to the NFL. If you play hard and play well and bust your butt under Belichick, you have Belichick's word. If Belichick praises you when talking with scouts of teams, if he does that, oh yeah, you're set. Why did UNC wait until after signing to make this hire? They waited because Belichick gave them a 400-page document in terms of what he wanted. He said, okay, if I take this job, here's 400 pages of how we're going to run things. These are my demands. It wasn't like one page. It was 400 pages of how we're going to run things, how specifically things are going to be done, how things are going to be arranged, who I'm bringing on. My son's going to be the interim coach, or the coach in waiting, I should say. Like, it was a whole page, and the board of trustees, it's a public school, they had to approve that, and they just did. Best Christmas NFL game ever. Steelers-Ravens was pretty good. The Immaculate Extension, that was pretty good. Yeah, Morocco could be very good. I mean, they did very well. They were first to make the semifinals in 22, so we'll see what they do here. Most of you think no playoffs for UNC, but 9 to 10 wins. I'm leaning around there. 11% of you think expectations for the playoffs are bust. Middling bowl, 36%, so like 6 to 8 wins. No bowl game, 9%, so you think they're going to do worse than they did this year under Mac Brown. Then again, they lost their quarterback at the start of the season in that game against Minnesota. Yes, 6 fun and Ariel, yes. World Cup 26, prediction on the final teams. I don't know the draw. I'm not betting against France. That golden generation, not betting against France. And what would I do here? I think Argentina's gonna be too old by that point. We're gonna go with. Let's go on a limb here. Let's go on a limb. France, Colombia. Let's go on a limb. France, Colombia. Doug Pierce says most games coached in the post-merger era by a coach with exactly 0 games above 500. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Yeah, UNC and Team 1. Yeah, no, the hires are going to move for UNC, I think. I think for the college game, he's going to run it like a program, like a pro program. And we saw ASU do that with success before recording violations, and we realized, oh crap, Herm Edwards can't really coach. This is a little bit different. Bill Belichick, we know that he knows what he's doing, and we know everything about him in that regard. The fact that UNC couldn't lure SEC coaches away is telling. I don't think they couldn't. I don't think it's about luring them away. I think it's more you got a chance to get Bill Belichick. You're going to try and get Bill Belichick. He's an easy guy to get in terms of recruits to play for. Because you want to make it to the NFL? Well, you got a guy that knows what it takes to get to the NFL. That's what ASU did. They got a lot of guys that had NFL experience as their coaching staff. And they said, okay, this is the model. This is how you get to the NFL. We're going to teach you how to get to the NFL. And it worked for a little bit. And then recruiting violations happened and Herm Edwards couldn't coach to save his life. And he lost some staff members and it didn't work out. But this is just that on steroids. This is okay. You want to get to the NFL? We got a guy that has won more Super Bowls than anyone else in NFL history. He can get you to the NFL. Bills, Lions, I'm going to take Buffalo in that one. Will be the college equivalent of our office Cincinnati. Got to go to the classroom. Why do the playoff games conflict with the NFL on December 21st? College and the pros usually coordinate the postseason, so there's no conflict. Yeah, they couldn't really avoid that this year. This year they couldn't really avoid that just because of the... Well, there usually are bowl games that take place during the NFL. That Saturday, it's just not playoff games. For Todd Downing, I will take the guy that has not been arrested for a DUI. And I'm going to say Japan on that one. Japan over Morocco. I'm going to say that. Is it true his girlfriend's currently at the college? I don't know if he is. I don't know if she is. I thought she was like 24. So I don't think she's in college anymore. Unless it's grad school. Unless it's grad. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it here. We've been on for an hour. Again, Belichick, 3 years, $30 million. The new coach at UNC. Thank you guys again for tuning in. The fun stream as always. Wanted to go live for this emergency live stream just to talk about this, talk this through. Again, this is your home for everything NFL news. We got a video coming out tomorrow. Don't know what it's going to be on yet, but we will see. Anytime emergency news happens, you know you can come to me, and I'll be live first on the scene and tell you everything that you need to know, and we will tell you what is going to happen there. So, no game we're doing tonight. That was the stream for tonight. Tomorrow we are doing the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Niners. Friday night, Todd Downing was worse for DUI when he was with the Titans after the game against the Packers. So Friday night we are doing one of those two games, and we'll do a GeoGuessr stream after that game. So Boston Merrimack, Army, and George Washington. Then after that, we'll do a GeoGuessr stream. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing a video on college coaches after coaching the NFL. Think about that one, but we'll see if I can coordinate that. But appreciate you guys a ton. I'm going to get some rest because I've slept 90 minutes in the last, 48 hours. So I thought I was going to get some sleep, and then Belichick happened. So want to go live for that, but appreciate you guys a ton. JG9 signing off. Again, Belichick, 3 years, $30 million. I'll see you guys. New video dropping tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. And again, click that link above if you haven't seen the Simpsons broadcast review video. I talked about the good, the bad, the ugly. There's a lot of ugly, but also quite a bit of good that you might be surprised by. So click that link above if you haven't seen it. Looking for some entertainment. And again, JG9, you're home for everything college football. I'm going to be live for all the college playoff games, a ton of the bowl games. I think we're going live for 30 bowl games this year. All the NFL primetime games, all the playoff games, not counting the Super Bowl, but all the playoff games besides that. College basketball going live every day this season. It seems like I'm not taking any days off. No days off, as Bill Belichick says. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys.